After the war, Carol Reed made a series of 3 films which really cemented his reputation internationally.
Well, of course, I think those 3 films that he made at the peak of his powers, and they have this sense of doom, a sense of lost love, which perhaps came out of the zeitgeist of after the war. Probably, for me, probably the favourite is Odd Man Out.
Out you go now, bless you. Run for it. There are 3 steps.
All right, you are, so come on.
This is a film which is being made by Rank, and Rank is, at that stage, a very ambitious film company that has Hollywood pretensions. And so it's pouring resources into its film productions. Odd Man Out was made for a company called Two Cities. It had made In Which We Serve, which was a huge success in the United States. The head of Two Cities, a very voluble Italian called Filippo del Giudice, who was an idealist. He knew very little about films himself, but he really believed that films were great art, and he wanted to give filmmakers, he wanted to treat them like great artists. And it really encouraged Rank to give quite a degree of freedom, but also financial resources to Britain's leading film directors. So Reed is essentially free. He's his own producer. He's free to choose his own subject. And he reads the novel by F.L. Green, Odd Man Out.
The novel was published only a year before the film was initiated. I mean, the novel, I think, came out in 1945, just as the war was ending. The film was in production in 1946, and it premiered in the early months of 1947.
Carol Reed didn't just read the novel, he wanted to work with the writer.
He enlisted the original author to write the screenplay, but then insured himself by bringing in a more experienced collaborator to work alongside the original author.
He would always talk about the author not being him, but the author being the person that in some way he served. So the idea of the story and his duty to the story and giving that story life.
Your heart's not in this job, Johnny. Is it?
I won't be sorry when we're back.
You don't believe in it, then?
I believe in everything we're trying to do. But this violence isn't getting us anywhere.
Odd Man Out, coming at the end of the war and of the enormous violence and tragedies that the war caused, takes a jaundiced view of masculinity, of heroism, as the James Mason character increasingly becomes disillusioned with his role as a hero.
The notion of the anti-hero is interesting, isn't it? This seems to be the direction that Reed's now going in the 1940s. He chooses heroes that are somehow tend to be outside society.
He's hit him. Are you badly hurt? We better get the ambulance for him.
Leave me, I'll be all right.
Well, will you come indoors? We know all about first aid. We were in the ARP.
He's never named as belonging to the IRA, but the film is clearly, it's made in Belfast, although Belfast is never named.
It's bizarre to start with a character who is so morally compromised at the very outset, and then to have him fatally injured near the beginning of the film, and then spend the rest of the movie simply charting his death and the reactions of those around him or those he encounters. I think Reed was able to get away with it partly because of the novel, just because the novel, I gather, had been very well received and was quite a popular novel, but also the way he did it made it somehow persuasive and compulsive.
He succeeded in taking the story, which is quite familiar in recent times, and yet his film has scale. It's a big movie.
It's a little bit like a kind of British High Noon because it's so dominated by this sense of passing time. So there's something very deterministic about the film, a great sense of fate, you know, for whom the bell tolls.
Mason was primarily known as the cruel and often sadistic villain in Gainsborough melodramas. Gainsborough was one of the dominant British studios in the 30s and into the 40s. James Mason plays a bad guy who is at the same time sensitive and who actually spends the entire movie dying. You'd think this would give the actor limited scope, especially since he doesn't speak very much, as he finds he's in pain most of the time. But his face, the way he's shot, the situations he's put in, and the dialogue that he has at the outset, which very clearly establishes him as a rather fated individual, obviously made a huge mark. And I think it transformed the public's perception of him. And in Mason's case, it opened up his Hollywood career.
The other thing, absolutely more than anything, Carol taught me, is that everybody in the picture is as important as the star.
We have this notion of stars, but actually there are no stars in his films. All the actors who pass before the camera are stars for Reed and receive equal value.
Shell is having trouble with his bird.
Do you see this wee creature? He's a rare one.
It's a budgie. There are thousands of them.
But sure, there's millions of men and women. But there's rare ones among us. Like this bird. You know, this fella's a chief. Oh, devil of a fella. Always making mischief. Just like some fellas does.
What's his name?
Me and Lukey and Tober. Them's the friends that I live with. The three of us, we calls him Johnny.
There's a gallery of fine performances in this movie, and lots of actors, you know, get a chance to do something quite meaty and substantial within their vignettes.
It's a very baroque, almost surreal film, and I think Robert Newton fits in very well into that surreal quality that the film has.
There's some controversy about Robert Newton and his vaguely camp performance as the artist, the painter, but it's not a problem for me. I think it's rather wonderful, actually, in a way, and it had certainly had a number of celebrity fans who were, you know, much taken by it, including Graham Greene, who of course went on to write Carol Reed's next two films.
Are there faces in the fire, Lukey?
Hundreds of them, Taylor. Beautiful ones, ugly ones, smiling, glaring at me. Men and women, one after another, telling me things, shedding tears. But they don't stay. Oh, Toba, dear, if I could only get just one of them.
Go and get yourself a drink, Lukey.
Oh, thank you, Toba.
Carol's starting to use night, and I think he couldn't afford that. In all his career before, night work was a no-no, because half your budget, you had to have 6 generators, you had to have all those lamps, and by the time the lamps were in the right place, you only shot 3 shots.
The cameraman was Robert Krasker, who had worked with David Lean before A Brief Encounter. It's Carol Reed in the laboratory trying to work out what you can do with film. and really pushing it to the limit. And perhaps it's that sense of experiment, that sense of total freedom, and trying to make the most of that freedom, which accounts for the rather baroque feel that the film has.
It's clear in a film like Odd Man Out that there is no documentary component as such. The film is completely fictional and quite stylized in all kinds of ways. However, I think there's a throwback. I mean, it's something that some sort of Reed has taken into himself and perpetuates in film after film. If you're looking for, you know, the authorial mark in a Carol Reed film, it's quite hard to find because the films tend to be quite a lot different from each other. And he himself would deny that he sought to put any authorial mark in it anyway. But one of the characteristic things of a Reed film is what I would call the cluttered frame. So he likes a frame with people moving in different directions, no clear edges to the frame, people moving off screen, coming on screen. They feel like they've been caught almost on the fly. It's shot in a documentary way, and it's clearly on real locations, and it has that kind of feeling of authenticity to it. It feels like you're on the streets of Belfast. And it works because of those cluttered shots. It works because the shots are not mannered. Well, the film moves from that to what everybody calls more expressionist visuals. What underlines it further is the series of hallucinations that Johnny McQueen suffers in the course of the film.
Do you think I dressed his wounds and got him comfortable just so that you could stand there and paint him?
You only fixed him up so that when you get him to the hospital, you'll be proud of what you've done.
You're drunk. Listen, if he dies...
Give the police to do it in then.
And what will we do with him if he does? What will we tell the police? Stop arguing.
You've done what you wanted to do, now let me.
I will not allow him to sit there and die in that chair.
Talk about his life. Aren't you telling me that you're going to hand him over to...
Yes, to people who heal.
Yeah, when he's fit, they'll pass him on to the police.
Maybe.
And the police will put him up for trial.
You expect me to hide him?
I tell you, he should stay here. Look at him, Tober. It won't take him much longer. Let him rest. He needs it.
That provides an opportunity straight out of German expressionism. We don't have to go to film noir. We can go much further back to the expressionist tradition to produce stylized fantasy images in film to help clarify the psychological state of the protagonist.
I can't help feel that Carol Reed must have been a great admirer of Julien Duvivier, a great admirer of Carnet and Prévert. He must have known the poetic realist French films. You know, in some way, Odd Man Out is almost an homage to all these great 1930s poetic realist French films.
They had an expectation of an audience that was out there to receive their films, whereas today we are kind of mendicants. We make our films and we put them out there with a begging bowl, hoping that they're going to be seen, whereas Carol Reed knew there was an audience there.
It's the first of this extraordinary trilogy, and there's a sense of Carol Reed being free for the first time to show the world what he's capable of. And I think with that kind of film, it often gets lost because it's not flamboyant, but it seems to me in some way, in its intimacy, It's the most perfectly realised.
All within this wonderful black and white aesthetic of the films, of the wet streets and the buildings, the looming buildings, and the sense of menace, the sense of impending doom. All those Carol Reed elements seem to come together in that film in a way you could find in all the other films, but in this one, I think they came to a kind of perfection.